Hi everyone, and welcome to what may be quite a controversial episode. Why, I hear you cry. Simple, this, the ARMSID, a sound chip replacement for the Commodore 64. The ARMSID by Nobomi, there's a link to the page in the description, is a replacement of the 6581 and 8580 used in the Commodore 64. It's marketed as a plug-and-play solution, just insert in place of the original SID and it's done. Easy, apparently. It determines which chip it replaces and starts the appropriate emulation, and there's no need for switches if you have a PAL or NTSC machine, it figures that out itself too. It also emulates analog inputs, paddles, mouse, etc., which some other replacements don't, and that may be important to you. Real 12-bit digital analog converters, no pulse width modulation, which for audiophiles probably means something. Lower power consumption and therefore heat generation than the original. And you can update the firmware from C64 programs without opening the case. So why will this video be controversial? Simple again. I'm asking the question, is it, in real terms, for everyday use, as good as the real thing? There, I've opened the gate. We may as well walk through. So before the name calling starts and the fists start flying, what is the ARMSID? Well, you know that lovely music that your Commodore 64 makes that your Spectrum-owning friends deny being jealous of? Well, that, as you no doubt know, is coming from the SID, or Sound Interface Device, which is a chip that is plonked on your C64 mainboard, and it's a fantastic piece of engineering. Firstly, let's have a little look at that chip, how it came to be, and what makes it so special. And importantly, so difficult to replace, because they don't make them anymore, you know. Designed by engineer Robert Yanis and built in only 5 months with a small team of 4, including himself, the SID was the end result of Yanis's desire to bring computer music out of the age of primitive beeps and whistles, as he felt that current sound chips on the market were designed by great engineers, but who ultimately knew nothing about music. Yanis originally envisaged the chip having 32 voices, which would have been amazing of course, but time constraints meant that the complex oscillators and voice envelopes could only be replicated 3 times on the chip, which had to launch inside the Commodore 64 at the Consumer Electronics Show in January 1982. Even though, given more time, the SID could have been more powerful, Charles Winterble, a member of the design team, said the SID was already 10 times better than anything out there and 20 times better than it needs to be. And certainly at the time, there was simply nothing to touch it. I mean, just listen to it. There are 8 known revisions of the SID chip, and as each chip has both analog and digital components, each revision does have a slightly different sound, owing to slight differences in waveform harmonics and overall sound generation. Some artists have targeted one particular revision and really worked the chip, including utilising design flaws or specific harmonics specific to that revision to create their music. And when played on other revisions, without these quirks, the results may vary significantly. And it's on this fact, Your Honour, that my preposition rests. If 2 genuine SID chips can sound slightly different to each other, does it really matter if the ARMSID sounds slightly different again? Most people will only have one C64 anyway, so won't be comparing one to the other. So if I drop this in, will I really notice any difference? Let's find out. Installation is as simple as pulling out the old SID chip, in our case an 8580, on our familiar testbed shortboard Commodore C64C. And with that SID safely stowed away, it's a simple matter of making sure the notch on the ARMSID matches the notch on the socket and gently pressing it into place. And with that done, we'll check and update the firmware and then do some tests. All firmware updates are done from within the C64 itself. You just need to have a way to run the PRG files supplied with the ARMSID. we're using the TapeCart SD solution that we looked at in a previous episode. There's a link on the screen if you want to watch that. So let's run the firmware update. And it seems we're already on the latest update, version 2.12, so this must be a recently manufactured ARMSID. If it needed updating, it's a matter of pressing the update button and following instructions. Back in the TapeCart browser, we'll now load up the diagnostics and configuration program, and this confirms that an 85XX device has been auto-detected. We have POT-X and POT-Y values, which we could change if we had a mouse plugged in, for example, and we can see the voltage being supplied to the chip, 9 volts for the 8580. Remember that the earlier chips got a 12 volt supply, which ARMSID detects and adjusts to automatically. There are various other adjustments that you can go through, but for the purpose of this video, I want to leave everything totally standard, because I've got a little competition for you if you feel like a challenge. You see, I've been so pleased with the performance of this ARMSID that I'm going to leave it in the machine. I really can't tell the difference and don't really care to find out if there are any. I'm that kind of person. So I'm going to give all of you a chance to win the original 8580 chip that was in our C64C. You may need it for a repair or just as an ornament, or maybe you'll sell it. It's up to you. All you've got to do is watch and, more importantly, listen to what's coming up. We're going to see clips from the title screens of Commando and Crazy Comets, and the audio will flip between the original 8580 and the ARMSID. If you think that the clips marked with the big A are the original SID, then please make sure you're subscribed and leave a comment that simply says SID A, or SID B if you think the clips with the big B over them are the original SID. The winner will be chosen completely at random from those that commented correctly by Mrs. Retro Shack on Saturday the 13th of March at 12 noon GMT. Now, before I leave you to the music, if you like the channel, please subscribe and hit the bell to be notified of new content. Do you have an ARMSID? Can you tell the difference? Please leave your comments and debates below. We always love to read them. And until next time in the shack, it's goodbye from me and good luck.